What is up, and welcome to Cut the Promo, where three absolute marks shoot on the WWE in a no-holds-barred pipe bomb for your listening and maybe viewing pleasure. My name is Berto, and I'm joined by Ads and Sammy. Boys, let me say, hey boys, what do you want to talk about?
I love that. The classic Cody start to a podcast. You know, he is the man of the moment as we lead into WrestleMania. Berto, thanks so much. And Sammy, great to be alongside you as well. So I guess like for those of you who, you know, some of you will know us, some of you won't know. So I'll just do a super quick intro. My name's Adam. Presently doing a bit of the basketball fix during the NBL season, the Perth Wildcats podcast. And in addition to that, I also love my AFL too. So I do an AFL weekly review and preview podcast. But I've got two passions. That's obviously basketball and AFL. But the third one that certainly is streaming and rolling along. And we're coming up into the busy season, the most important season. And of course, it's WrestleMania season. So yeah, those three are my big massive sport passions, but enough from me. Sammy, over to you. Give us a bit of an idea also too of your love of WWE and where it all started.
Oh, of course, man. You know, if you haven't seen us around before, then what are you doing? You're absolutely stupid. You know, you're obviously living under a rock if you haven't seen these three ugly mugs on your screen before. But
Playing the heel already, Sammy. I love it.
Hey. Look, after that John Cena heel turn, what can I say, mate? It's influenced me a lot. But you know, as you can see behind me, avid lover of everything. You know, I've got my MJ jersey and my Ducks jersey. I'm one of those wankers that are born in New South Wales but follows Queensland. So, you know, the boys will give me a lot more shit about that come Origin time. But yeah, no, I've been around wrestling for years. I've got friends that have competed in amateur wrestling down here. They do rock and roll wrestling. I've had a few that have tried to make it in the WWE itself with NXT, with TNA, all the rest of it. But I've just loved watching, being a part of the culture, the fan base ever since I was a kid. You name it, I've watched it 1,000 times probably.
Fair. And for myself, well, being probably the oldest head in the room, I grew up with wrestling, and I grew up in an era where you actually had to pay for the pay-per-views. And so it was always quite frustrating when you sort of be watching along. If you had a Foxtel subscription to begin with, or whatever it was back in the day before Foxtel, I think it was the Optus Vision or something like that.
Ostar or whatever it was called.
Ostar or something nasty like that. So if you actually did manage to get every sort of weekly episode, you then get to the pay-per-view, and then you'd hope that one of your mates had parents who actually wanted to pay for the pay-per-view. And given the fact that, you know, my parents and a lot of parents around my era sort of were like, no, it's fake, what are we paying for that for? You didn't get the storylines. And now we've a resurgence. And I will say the resurgence, whilst I sort of dabbled in and out a little bit, last year's WrestleMania. It was one and done. I was in. I brought into the lead up to it, with the final boss coming, the storyline, it all coming together, and just it felt like a new era of writing and a new era of storytelling, and I was hooked, and now I'm watching it religiously. And the fact that there is so much content available online, on YouTube, on the social medias, and then everything freely available on, well, Netflix here in Australia, you can really follow it all and not feel left out. So the time had come for us to take our conversations, which for all three of us, we are part of the Basketball Fix. We've got Wildcat Rap, we've got the Hawks Hangout, and myself with Tasmanian Takeover. And while we're talking basketball, we're sitting there talking wrestling. And eventually we're like, we better go and start a separate chat because everyone else is getting the shits with us. And one thing led to another, and we were like, well, let's do a pod, because that's what you do when you've got nothing else to do but stick a microphone in your face and talk shit. And the time has come, because what better time to launch this than with WrestleMania 41? We are a week out, so depending on when this launches, airs, get on to the various different channels we'll release this on, and when you're watching it, it's either the start of WrestleMania week or partway through WrestleMania week, but hopefully you're not listening to this after WrestleMania thinking these dickheads had no idea what they were talking about. Because I assure you, we got some wild speculation. It's still from Sam, not Sam Wrestling. We've got wild speculations. We're going to speculate freely. Gentlemen, before we get into the WrestleMania breakdown, what do you reckon? How are we going to go about doing this show? Say every couple of weeks we might get together and have a bit of a yarn and drop this up on the on YouTube and various different podcasting platforms.
Oh yeah, I definitely think it'll be.
Sammy, you're up.
This is one of those things where you got to try and time it with each other. It'll be just judge the wave, the wave of it all. I think it's one of those things where the fans are always going to be the fans of it. It's not something like basketball, or it's, for my instance, NRL, for Adsy's instance, the AFL. It's one of those things where the fans have been fans for years, like us, and will always continue to be fans. Yep. So the market and the media will be there. So yeah, look to see a lot of our stuff coming out probably on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and we'll.
I think as well too, like Sorry, Berto. I think like you've got the structure of like Barca on a week-to-week basis. You've got the breakdown on what happens and the storylines that happen round by round, whereas you can sort of like touch base every couple of weeks with what happens from a storyline perspective in the WWE. I just did want to go back to sort of your, I guess, background with sort of watching wrestling, Berto. And I was the same as you, in high school for me, it was going over to like my mate's house. We took it in turns as to who would be able to convince their parents to pay $29.95 to book the main event, and then it's going over there, sitting down there for 3.5 hours and like making sure you didn't check your phone throughout the day, because obviously it was always delayed. It would always be on at 8 a.m. and you'd only get home after school at like 3 p.m. So how much it changed so much from like 15, 20 years ago to just having it absolutely at your fingertips, whether it's from YouTube, Netflix, and then any other form of social channels, TikTok as well too. So yeah, it's just so curious how much has developed over that time. I sort of felt a little bit out of love with it maybe about 5 or so years ago. I watched TNA, big fan of that, when AJ Styles was, the face of the brand, and many other individuals who've gone on to do better and bigger things there. And then, of course, just like a WWE was in a really curious spot at that stage, probably like 2015 to 2020. And then the COVID era is always quite challenging for, sport in general and sports entertainment. But like the Triple H era of the last couple of years in particular, it's just brought so many individuals back on board and are really keen to break that down a little bit more. Not just how WWE has evolved a little bit over the last 12 to 24 months, but like how exciting it is as we head into another incredible season, the WrestleMania season. So, Bert, I'll hand over to you as the great host as you always are, and guide us through the card of matches, and let's make some predictions, make some wild, as you said, speculation of possible guest returns and surprises. But over to you, mate.
Absolutely. So yes, well, look, we're still working through this. This is our first episode. You might call it a pilot episode. Obviously, we're going to be a little bit rusty. The format will get better. So please, like watching consider us in the Performance Center at the moment, all right? This is more like WWE Evolve. At some point, we'll get to NXT, and maybe, if we're very, very lucky, we'll get called up to the main roster and maybe fired. But we'll see how we go. So for this episode, we are going to dissect the two-night card of WrestleMania. We're also going to have a little bit of a talk about just the state of WWE at the moment. Ads really touched on how the Triple H era has really impacted and changed WWE, in my personal opinion, for the better, but we'll dissect that a little bit further. And we're going to try and keep a bit of a format here. We'll see how we go. We'll introduce you to the new topics, and that way, if we do manage to make it to episode 2, we don't get cut straight away. Hopefully, you'll be able to follow along. So, the first segment, if you will, is Dirt Sheet, where we're basically going to sum up all the news and rumors that we've heard. Now, bear in mind, none of us have got any ties in with the WWE, so it's all bullshit and hearsay. But, boys, have we got any good news or rumours in the lead up to WrestleMania? The silence was a stern reply. Yeah, so if you've been following along with the product, I think we're probably a little bit late to the game to cover off any news. I mean, the biggest news has been obviously Kevin Owens is now out with what was originally suspected to be a kayfabe injury, but it looks like it's the real deal. So unless, of course, this is one thing I do love about the Triple H era, the blurring of lines of kayfabe to reality. And I think we really got our first real sniff of that, again with Kevin Owens, when Cody and Kev decide to knuckle on out in the car park. And there was no camera crew. And it was relied upon that in today's modern era of smartphones in the pocket and in the hands every 5 seconds, that there would be enough footage captured of this fight to really get traction. That was a stroke of bloody genius. It worked. So I am a little bit interested to see if, this is Kev playing mind games as he does. He might be a little bit scared of Randy. And we will talk about Randy's situation coming up. But let's just throw that to you guys. What do you reckon? Kayfabe or legit? Sammy.
It's one of those
Don't
things.
sit on the fence, son. Come on.
No, it's just, mate, man up. You're paid to do it. You're paid to do a job. You're paid to do entertainment. Put on your fucking big boy pants. Come out and put on a show for us. Like, don't sit there pussyfooting around the ring going, oh, I've got a broken neck. Oh, my back. Oh, this is... Dude, shut up. Get in there. Versus Randy Orton's. We already know what's going to happen. Going to get absolutely demolished unless someone, for God's sake, and God knows what reason in that match would interfere. But he's one of those wrestlers and those people where it's like what Corey and I say on the podcast, where we do our whole flog watch segment.
Oh,
and we
no.
go,
He's bringing a flog watch.
I'm bringing a flog watch into it, and I'm going to put Kevin Owens on it. But but seriously, come on. It's one of those things where it doesn't matter who they are in the ring. It's who they are out of the ring, and he's carried it on outside the ring. And as you said, whether or not this is like pure genius from a writing standpoint of view from Triple H in this new era that he's got going on, who knows? If it is, good work to him, because it makes you hate him. And I, for one, am like, just, yeah. So I'm going to hand it over to Ads, because I've got very strong opinions on it, and I could sit here for hours just on this one player.
To be, I still don't know how you actually feel about Kevin Owens just from that last couple of minutes. So, it's interesting. Like I was actually reading something a couple of days ago that the injury possibly seems to be legitimate. So he might actually be out for, I think, up to 12 months. But yeah, like I guess we will find out in just a matter of a week or so. I think like you were talking about, Berto, with sort of, and Sammy to an extent as well, with, how they've been sort of filming Kevin, like when he had the rivalry with Cody, he was doing all those promos in the car and all that kind of stuff. And like, it was just like building up this, rebel against the machine. Cody, of course, is part of the machine. He's, the golden child. And he turned his back on his good friends in Cody Rhodes because he just wanted to be the nice guy and helping out the tribal chief and all those kinds of matters. But like, the way that they managed to turn Kevin into a heel, and it was such a build up from when, there were opportunities for Kevin to turn his back on Cody numerous times when they were still mates, when they were still allies. And then eventually it went to it, and the package pile driver and all the controversy and hoopla that came out of that, the illegal move, etc., etc. They've done a great job to build Kevin to be just this incredible heel. And if he's out for a long period of time, legitimately, that will be a loss from like a character perspective. But you know, if it works the other way, then that just adds so much more intrigue to, I guess, what Randy Orton's plans are going to be for WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Look, I am a Kevin Owens fan, but to be honest with you, I'm a little bit disappointed. But Randy's not going to hear voices in the head, and he's not going to punt the shit out of Kevin Owens. I was really looking forward to that, but I also think that Randy's going to be super frustrated. Nick Aldis has now been on the receiving end of now 2 RKOs. The first one, apparently, he turned around and paid double the fine so that he could get away with it a second time sometime in foreseeable future. That's almost like a swear jar. I just walk in, throw a 50 in, and just strap yourself in, kids. You're about to learn some words. So let's jump ahead a little bit. I know I'm going to mix the run sheet up a little bit, but before we get into the cards, let's talk about Randy. There's no way, while the Viper is in this great shape, in this part of a storyline, just suddenly having it taken away from him. And I do, look, for all intents and purposes, I do really believe that KO is out with a legit injury. I think because if this is great storytelling and Kev's going to come out and do something really nasty, I just wonder where that's going to go, because you'd have to just about kill Orton to put him down permanently. So who is going to match Orton? I reckon he's going to be standing out in the ring regardless, because I think he's going to make it very clear he's showing up to WrestleMania and he's just going to stand there and take a match. Maybe he'll just fight 20 security guards. I don't know. The obvious choice is Nick Aldis. Will Tricky Nicky turn around and lace up the boots? And he has made it clear on other podcasts. If you listen to Chris Van Vliet's Insight, great podcast. He doesn't pay me, but I'll certainly give him a shout out. Nick has actually made it clear that he's still got more matches in him, and that could be a great match. Or do we start to think outside the square a little bit? So some of the names I want to throw to you are, we've got Solo. Solo's got not much on that night, you know, short of maybe sitting there bleaching the top of his head. He really hasn't got much going on that night. We've got Ray Phoenix, who's just come in, but I just can't see Ray Phoenix and Randy Orton being a great matchup. We've got this mysterious wrestler who's being spruiked via the vignettes, and there's talk that it could be, what's his name, Black?
Alistair Black or Malachi Black.
Malachi Black. So it could be him. It could be someone from NXT, but I kind of believe with the way the NXT and the main roster have been crossing over, you'd have to build a bit of a storyline. Then you've got where my money's lying, and I just want to go on record to say this.
Here we go.
Say his name, he will appear. Joe Hendry. Now, boys, hear me out. Apart from the fact that I'm a big fan of Joe, and yes, maybe I got on the Hendry bandwagon, but he's got a catchy song, all right? Look, and that blue shirt is just fucking mint. My thought is, he is floating around. From what I understand, he's at WrestleMania World. If you needed, he said he will be on any show, anytime, anywhere. You've now got a situation where you have no time to build a story. You literally need to either throw someone in randomly, which is going to come down to, well, that was a match, throw a jobber at Orton, or turn around and grab the guy who's been sniffing around. He's been in Royal Rumble. He had a great run in NXT, and go, say his name, and he'll appear. Ads, over to you. Who do you reckon's taking on the Viper?
It's just, it's really interesting. And like when we're in this position now, when you're on podcasts or, you know, chat shows and you get to talk about the pure speculation of who it might be, it's really exciting. And like, there are so many ways it could go. And like, is it just going to be a one-off kind of match, you know, with, for example, if it is a Malachi Black or Alistair Black or however he ends up coming back as, can it just be like a one-off? It can be that WrestleMania moment of someone that has been out in the wilderness, been at AEW. He's, you know, done some pretty good things there, but he's coming back, you know, home or whatever. whatever. And then like Solo is, I guess, a more realistic option from you can build a storyline from that. And he's had history with Solo, of course, and the Bloodline too. Joe Hendry is definitely the popular opinion. And just like on Joe and TNA, I just absolutely love the fact that, TKO, WWE, they have, bought into TNA, and there's just so many crossovers with NXT. Obafemi went on to TNA about a month or so ago, and that was just awesome, crossing the line. It's brilliant. It's giving TNA exposure, how much it goes the other way. But for TNA, that's really great for them. They can have NXT kind of talent. We know that NXT is building up a really strong reputation, and in the coming years, especially with the female roster perspective, it's going to be a massive revolution. And when Charlotte and Becky, when they all hang up the boots, or we've just had enough of them, that's going to be great from the WWE talent pathway. So yeah, look, there's certainly a sitting on the fence kind of answer there. Purely just from only yeah, I know. Purely just from, I think I've got my analysis hat on too much from a basketball perspective. I got to take it off and just pick someone. Purely from just reading it today, I would love to see Malachi Black back in the WWE. I think he signed a contract as of last week, so I think that would just be a great one-off match. It would provide that WrestleMania moment. And where he ends up going after that, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, really interesting. Sammy, your thoughts, mate?
Oh, look, I shadow both of your thoughts with both of what you said. There's obviously the route that they're more than likely probably going to go down with your Nick Aldis, and it could possibly also be Joe Hendry, could turn into a tag team match, could turn into something, there's endless possibilities. It's WWE. They're used to doing it on the fly. You're used to, calling audibles on the actual mat itself, purely for the fact that shit just doesn't go how you expect it to go. And if for whatever reasons the big crybaby himself does not come to WrestleMania, doesn't show up, and he's actually out injured, well then good riddance in my case. But I want to throw something out there to the both of you, and it's two people that have been rumored heavily. One of them rumored heavily to come back, especially with everything that happened last year in WrestleMania. And then there was potentially someone as well that we'll talk about that card in a second and that match on the first night. But my first one would be the man himself, Rey Mysterio. Now, he obviously did not get a chance to be able to compete in that match, and I believe it's on the second night in that Intercontinental Championship. Now, there could be an option in there if he's floating around, whatever reason, whether it's just a match with Randy. But then the one that I see, and it would be absolutely great, I know he's still signed with AEW, he's still in there, he's still doing all the things, but to bring Mox back over, it's going to tie in somehow, and I feel like with the way that they're going with the whole CM Punk storyline, with the whole everything that's going on with that, which we'll cover a bit later, and I've got my own thoughts about the Wise Man, Paul Heyman, potentially siding with Seth and what that could look like for a future Shield reunion, something like that. Then it's a person that can come in, but the more than likely answer will probably end up being Nick himself.
I can't see Mox coming in to take on Randy. If Mox was coming back, I see it happening as part of the triple threat, where somewhere along the lines, now that Heyman's in CM Punk's corner, Roman and Seth have gone and had a bit of a bro hug, sorted shit out, called up their boy Mox, and suddenly Shield 2.0 has emerged. Reality is, I don't know, if it was TNA, I'd say this is a done deal. This storyline's gonna happen. The fact that it's AEW, and I'd say the chances of crossovers between AEW and WWE are slim. There is absolutely there hasn't been any glimmer that those two organisations will do any crossover. In fact, if we're talking organisations that may do a crossover soon, only because, look at the product, take on everything. You've got Instagram posts, a social media post of The Rock sitting there with a New Japan Wrestling top on, whilst contemplating a Rubik's Cube. Frig knows what that means. Maybe The Rock's thinking about buying Rubik's Cubes. I don't know. But it seems a little bit odd, but he's wearing the New Japan, so I think that could be the next crossover. So I think that would be an unlikely choice.
But still, like great possibilities and options, and that's why we have these kinds of podcasts, just to throw out, like, because I think we're all still in free agency mode. So like all the rumors in the NBL of like who's going where, who could be coming from, competition X, Y, or Z, it relates exactly to the WWE. So who's coming from AEW, TNA, and the other way around. So like you just have to throw it out there because you just don't know.
To be fair, Ads, let's face it, the reason why we're doing this podcast is so our other halves don't have to listen to us continually troll shit at them.
Exactly.
So we figured we'd get together and do it ourselves. Sammy, you had one final thought on this one before we move on?
Yeah, just, I'm in here to start shit, as you both already know that. It's been
you're playing heel already.
very, very well spoken about already. But no, I get into this night one match card, Berto. Let's get it going.
All right, so what we'll do is night one match card. I'll just start with, look, we're going to assume this is the order they're in, but obviously that could change on the fly. So I've pulled this off, I think it was off Yahoo Sports. To be fair, I've pulled the order off there as per what they've got listed. We'll just work for one match at a time. Give us your thoughts. Give us who you think's going to win it. Give us if you even give a shit, to be honest with you, because as great and as stacked as this card is, I know myself, there are a couple of matches on there. That's going to be a great opportunity to sit there and, I don't know, cook up some chicken wings or some shit. Whatever the case may be. All right, the first one, night one, Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Yeah, I hope they wrap this storyline up real quick, smart, and in a jiffy. Yep.
I mean, quickly though, I think it's been good to see a different side of Naomi, because we've only known her as, the glow and, the happy-go-lucky, sort of like the Bailey version as well before, she had her heel turn a couple of years ago. So it's been good to see a bit of a different side of that. And I think you probably picked maybe like a month after the incident happened that you're like, it has to be Bianca or Naomi. And then they obviously kept pushing it for a long period of time. And then what we saw, what happened at Elimination Chamber, that was just brilliant. And, Jade, of course, is still coming on and she's working on her craft. But from an athletics perspective, just stunning power. And she'll get there with the wrestling per se. So, whether it ends up opening the night one, you probably think it'll be somewhere in the middle where, everyone's sort of, as you said, are cooking their chicken wings, or, maybe they've gone to the toilet or whatever something else can occupy 10 minutes. But, I think from a Naomi's perspective, it's been good for her to maybe get back on track and have a bit of a different side.
Yep. Sammy, thoughts, anything other than oof?
Look, I'll follow on from what Ads he said, but as you said, mate, it's one of those matches where it'll be a one and done thing. Please to God, just wrap it up. 20 minutes, 25 minutes max. I don't want to be sitting there. We received news the other day that across the two cards, it's going to be at least 18 hours long. So please, for the love of God, wrap this match up, because if I've got to sit through 35 minutes to 40 minutes of those two going at it, it's going to ruin night one already.
Yeah, and look, both are talented, both are telling a story, but I mean, to be honest with you, I thought it really culminated nicely at Elimination Chamber. Jade Cargill sitting there ripping the cage door on Naomi was just brilliant. It was sensational. It was actually everyone played their part in there. You had Bianca sitting there locked in the chamber. She's losing her shit, watching her friends watching her friend beat the shit out of another friend. It was great. The interesting part of all this is how quickly Bianca's kind of like, you got two friends blue in here, and from a story perspective, oh yeah, I'm over here getting a championship, so it's all good. You guys do that, She was 1 minute so heavily invested, and now I'm the gold. So I kind of sit there, and that's where I kind of lost interest. To me, I almost saw the three of them needing to get into a cage and beat the living shit out of each other to resolve the issue. But instead, because you've got Bianca on a championship run, we'll just put her over there. So that just felt a little weak from a story perspective, and I've lost interest. Maybe what they should have done is turn around at themselves like a bloody, some kind of gimmick match, like, I don't know. What's one? An ambulance match. Yeah, or an ambulance match, One went through
or a tight match.
Car window. Yeah, whatever the case may be. I think it needed to be a little bit more. Let's see. Maybe something happens in this coming week where they just decide, no, we're going to pull some weapons out on this one. All right. Next match. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. And let's face it, it can't be Chad Gable because he's got the sniffles. So, I can't even do that with a straight face. Nah. All right, so who's going to win this one?
I mean, like the way that like Chad or El Grande Americano, the way he's been going, he's been on a bit of a run. So like you probably think he's going to break his duck against, the WWE's best, Latino American wrestler, and he'll probably beat Rey. For mine, this is, I think the only reason why this is on the WrestleMania card is because of Rey, just to make sure that he gets another run, and maybe he's going to be done in the next year or so. But yeah, for mine, this is not worthy of WrestleMania. Just in my opinion,
Sammy.
Yeah, the medium coffee versus Rey Mysterio.
Large coffee. When was the last time you were at a bloody Starbucks, son?
About 4.5 months ago before I quit, mate. So
right.
Yeah.
And you got Venti. Should have been El Venti Americano.
No, Venti's the large one. Grande's medium.
I suppose, yeah.
So,
I don't know.
The medium long black or whatever
all
you
right,
want
I
to
stand
call
corrected. Him. All right, fine. He's playing the heel real well, lads. I don't know if I like this.
I might get shafted off my own podcast in a second. It's another one of those matches. Another one of those matches. I hope it's over and done with. I hope Rey wins. There'll be some sort of interference. I can already see it. Yeah.
I'm liking this because the whole setup is so Rey can demask him. Here's what I would love. We know that WWE likes special effects and shit at WrestleMania. How good would it be if there was some switcheroo that happens just before the demasking where, maybe El Grande goes under the ring, the fake El Grande comes out, Rey demasks the fake El Grande to be some jobber, and then next minute Chad comes out and it'll be like, why do you keep saying it's me? I reckon that'd be sick.
I actually really like that. Hey, I didn't think about that, but that's actually quite a good ending to the match because it's so obvious that it's Chad to everyone who's not a noob. But just to flip the script completely. Yeah, there you go. Maybe you should be a writer, Berto, for the WWE. I'm sure that they'll be watching this when it.
Right. The only way it could be even better is if it turned out that the switcheroo. And it was Otis. Hey. All right. Moving right along. We've got the United States champion between L.A. Knight. Yeah. And Fatu. And yes, I had to do it. Yes. Let me talk to you. All right. This one's hard for me because I actually like both. I'm really digging what LA Knight's doing. At first, I've got to be honest, when I first saw his gimmick, I'm like, oh my God, really? But he has fully grown on me. And Jacob, he plays Psychotic so well. Like, I actually think he is kind of unhinged in real life, maybe. But then again, it was some great footage I found on social media where he's sitting there just cutting sick on a piano. So, I I personally would like Fatu to pull this one off. I'd like Jacob to get this. I think LA's had the title now twice, having recovered it from
Shinsuke.
Thank you. I won't. The problem is my daughter and I, we refer to him as Shitstain. And I was about to say that. So it's no offense to him. It's just us mucking around with names. But anyway, he's got it, lost it, got it back. But I think it's time for a full change of hands. And I think it could actually set up Jacob's really progress the storyline with Solo, where it's like, well, what gold's around your belt? What gold's around your belt? What gold's around your waist? That's my thought. Sammy, who do you want to win, and what are your thoughts?
I'm going to have to take the opposite. As much as I want Jacob to win and the storylines it sets up for the future, I'm looking at from the impact of, well, what storylines is it going to set up if he doesn't win it? He's wanting to win it so bad. Whether you see the hounds start barking and there's more interference in this match and someone else interferes with it, and LA Knight somehow manages to pull out the win mysteriously, if there's a Solo interference to stop Jacob from getting it, creating more bloodline feud in the future. To me, I don't see LA Knight, after winning and losing it so many times and it changing, to me, this championship is a nothing championship. It has changed so many hands in the space of the last year and a half that I've been watching again. And it's the one where I've got to research who actually currently holds the belt, because it changes like every 3 weeks. It's bloody ridiculous. So for consistency's sake, and to just, again, be a shit stirrer and be on the opposite side of things, I reckon LA Knight will pull it out.
Yeah.
Firing shots already. I like it, Sammy. Look, I sort of see Berto's point with how, Jacob Fatu getting the title can change, I guess, the landscape of, the United States Championship, and maybe that's what it needs to, bring people a bit more on board and give it a bit more prestige. But I think LA will do it, and I think he'll do it with sort of what you were talking about, Sammy. I think that Jacob, not Jacob. I think like Solo or Tama, they'll get involved. They'll have good intentions to actually try to help him, but then they'll end up screwing him, not on purpose, but accidentally. And that will lead to, clearly has to be a dissolution eventually of the bloodline, or maybe, Jacob Fatu being the lead guy. So I think that's how it's going to play out. And LA Knight, he just needs some more competition. So, they need more people on SmackDown just to build, a proper rivalry with him and give him some, because he's so amazing on the mic, LA Knight too. You need someone else who's at his level for that perspective. And we've seen that he can also wrestle really well too. So he's got a lot of great elements in his sort of, I guess, stable at the moment. I think that it'll be LA Knight, but it could be quite a controversial match come the final couple of minutes of it.
See, at least someone agrees with me on this podcast at the moment. I'm loving it.
Mate, I'm not letting you have anything buggier. All right, thinking about interference in for this match. So we've already called out Solo. We've already called out Tama Tonga. Do you reckon we're going to see Tonga Loa back?
Yeah, it's potentially, but at the same time, no. It would be interesting. It'd be very interesting to see if there would be interference in the triple threat match at the end of this card, if there'll be any interference from that standpoint of view.
Because here's my thoughts. Think about it like this. Everyone knows that anyone associated with the bloodline, there's interference. And we've seen what's been going on where Solo and Tama come out and interfere anyway. So they turn around and they bar Solo and Tama from the ring. They didn't bar Tonga. And suddenly he makes his return in the all black with the hoodie on, because let's face it, just all these random participants in the crowd always rock up with a pure plain black hoodie on because they're just there to start shit. But that could be how they get around if they put any stipulation of no interference. Oh, you said Solo and Solo and Tonga. So in comes Tama and knocks LA around a little bit.
It's certainly something. Yeah, it's certainly something to think about too. Like, it's funny, like when Tongaloa was when he made that, impact, I guess, in SmackDown. I just reckon he was largely ineffective. Like he was the most not cared about member of the bloodline, and it was sort of, and he was always the first one to get taken out by whoever was going against the bloodline at that perspective. So certainly, it would catch some people offside and blindside, and it would add something to the end of that match. But I don't know, Tongaloa, I feel like he's run his race in WWE.
Yeah, fair. All right, World Tag Team Championship, War Raiders versus the New Day. Could not care. I like the War Raiders. I'm calling the War Raiders because I think the New Day's done and dusted. Their whole heel turn has done nothing for me. Then again, I wasn't big on the New Day when they were baby faces. I just went, okay, whatever. Ads, any thoughts?
Nah, it's just like, I'm not really too interested. Like, apart from just getting booed the shit out of every single time they sort of get on the mic, which is hilarious. And like, you literally can't hear them. So like the crowd is just getting into them so hard. So like from, generating people are interested in hating you, that's so good for Triple H. Like they've nailed them as heels. But I think the War Raiders, I think they'll do what they need to do. It would certainly create something different if they decide to give these New Day, and like it's always the big question mark of, is Big E going to make a big stand?
I was going to ask, is Big E coming back for an appearance?
Yeah. Really interesting. Obviously, we haven't seen him since he had that plea to try to get them back onto the good side, and then that just fell on deaf ears, and that was when they turned heel terribly there. So Sammy, I don't have much interest in this one, but do you?
As much as I would love to see it, it would have been happened by now. It would have happened, when any of the ladder matches that have been between the tag teams have happened. Like there has been multiple opportunities for him to come back now, even especially last WrestleMania. He could have come back. He could have come back on any of these ones, Elimination Chamber, anything like that. He still hasn't come back. To bring him back for a match, in my opinion, is a waste of a match on this card. Absolute waste of a match, especially on night one of WrestleMania in Vegas. Second biggest bloody football stadium in the world. It's just a waste to me. It's a filler. Got no real interest in it. New Day will probably more than likely take it out just purely for the fact that it just causes more shit.
I see War Raiders winning this, but I can see a world where the New Day are getting on top and Big E comes out and turns the tables. And I think the only reason why now's the time to bring in Big E is because they had dropped that idea a little bit earlier on. He come out trying to get them to show their ways. Well, he comes out and maybe he just sort of disgraces them, if you will, and that makes them sort of, maybe it's the start of them waking up to themselves. Who knows? Or maybe they just become bigger heels. Who knows? All right, the match that I didn't think I gave a shit about until I did. It's Tiffy time! Shut up. Versus Charlotte Flair. I want to see Tiff win so bad, because if I could give any less of a shit about Charlotte Flair, I don't think I could, actually. I really don't. I mean, she returned. You could tell what they were doing. I think as far as the promos of late, she's out of touch. They've been weak as. It felt like Tiffy has had to try to carry it, and whether or not they've just got two different styles or whatever else, I just don't think that Flair's come back with any flair, to be honest with you, other than some fancy effects and more diamantes on a jacket than, one cares. Just not seeing it. So I want to see Tiff clean up Miss Flair and dominate Sammy.
Yeah. The only Flair that I really care about is the bloody eczema flare on my fucking asshole right now. So yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it's such a wasted opportunity, and for someone of her pedigree with the last name and everything that's been going on, especially with Cena and this whole trying to take over the official record of Ric Flair and everything, Tiffany's got it in the bag. One and done match. Get it in, get it done. 20 minutes top. Move on to heavyweight. Bloody ridiculous.
Ads.
Yeah, nah, I like it as well. Like, it was so funny, like when she came back, Charlotte, and there was, all the promos. And I think WWE were really wanting her to be a baby face, but the crowd just didn't want it. Like, Charlotte wanted to, like, she wanted to try to be and like get in the good books and it be that face versus face kind of main event for WrestleMania, but it just hasn't worked, and she's better as a heel. But even this version of Charlotte, I'm just not really a fan of. I'm not really buying in. Tiff is amazing, just like an incredible performer inside the ring, and she's just getting better and better the last couple of months with her talk as well too. Like her promos have just been really cutting through a lot more than what Charlotte's has. So she will, as you both stated, she'll probably carry like weirdly enough this 10-time or however many championships she's got. She'll carry Charlotte through this match, and then hopefully Tiff can just move on to some better competition, which is really sad for Charlotte because like she's achieved so much in the company, but it's almost if unfortunately the amount of injuries that she's had, and it's almost gone past her, I think.
I would love to see at the conclusion of this match Tiff retaining the belt, and then we suddenly hear, whoa,
No,
whoa.
no.
Why? Because in all honesty, Becky has done it enough with the other three. I've been sitting there tossing up, where would I like Bex to return? And yeah, she's taken the other three around the houses a few times. She hasn't taken Tiff around the house. And maybe it's time for her to come back and go, right, well, you're the new kid on the block, are you? Meet the real big dog of the yard. This bitch bites. I haven't convinced you?
Maybe.
I don't mind it.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't mind it. Like, I think, with WrestleMania, whether it's night one or night two, you need some returns, some surprises, and like, I think Becky's one of them, and like we've been hearing about it, and we've seen a couple of the videos, of course, not WWE promoted videos, just her own social media, and it's certainly something that if you don't know too much about that, that's going to be a great surprise for everyone. And then if you do, you're still wondering, where is she going to show up? Is it going to be a post WrestleMania Raw, like, which is obviously the biggest Raw of the year? Or is it going to be on one of those nights, and either in the triple threat match, or is it this one? So I think, as you said, Berto, it's probably more suited to this one. Even just, to finish that rivalry cut and dry with Charlotte, or maybe like whoever loses retires. I don't know, like retires officially. But yeah, interesting for sure.
Yeah, well, she definitely went around the houses with Charlotte, and I'm thinking, well, wouldn't you want to take on the person who flogged Charlotte? Be ideal. So it's Tiffy time. All right, now we're moving on to the match that I really do care about, and I'm just going to finish this off very simply and just say, yeet. That is it.
That's all I got to say.
I'm sorry, Baby Shark's out the water. Yeah, now you've heard it, you won't be able to unhear that. That's Baby Shark, baby.
It's funny, like with Jay as well, like, that they've, especially the last week, when, and a couple of weeks before, when Jimmy just got destroyed by Gunther, and that was the turning point, and that's confrontation, or the chat, if we want to call it, between Jay and Gunther, like, finally gave Jay some momentum, or at least perceived momentum going into the event. Like, Jay certainly still has his critics. A lot of people are still really curious and like that they're not really happy. As popular as Jay is, that he's going to be in this prime time spot against Gunther, and can you see Jay being a champion of Raw? Like, can you see that? Okay, there you go. That's all right. I'm happy to be one now on this one. No, like the way that he's sort of like revolutionized the company from just getting fan engagement is just insane. And I really hope this is just an incredible match. We know that Gunther's an amazing wrestler, and like I think from you guys clearly, maybe now is the time for Jay. So yeah, I think this is going to be one of those really great matches to watch because Gunther's an incredible wrestler. And yeah, hopefully it's just no interference. It's just these two guys going like hammer and tongs, and Jay just does what he needs to do to get the job done in the end. Sammy?
I just want to jump in and say why my theory of why Jay will win is. And it's actually going to jump ahead to give away my answer for night 2. Mm-hmm. Cena's winning. Now you've got a heel at the top who's carrying the company on their back for whatever period of time, but the babyface who is the most over at the moment. Yeet.
Yeet.
Sammy, you want to add anything, son?
Enough said.
Enough said.
Enough said.
Beautiful. I'm glad we're in agreement for that one. All right, final match we'll talk about, and this is probably a good opportunity to say that, yes, we had no idea how long this podcast was going to go for, and it looks like it's going to be almost like a double-length one. So we may edit it up to be 2 episodes. We may drop it as 1 episode. But shit, we're talking about 2 big nights of WrestleMania, so hopefully you're enjoying this conversation. Grab yourself another bevy, settle yourself in, because we are about to get into night 2. But before we do, the headline, the triple threat match, Seth freaking Rollins. He's a visionary. He's a revolutionary. We've got Raise Your Ones, Roman Reigns, and we've got the best in the world, CM Punk, with Paul Heyman, ladies and gentlemen, in CM Punk's corner. I have no idea. I am really, really struggling to think how this thing could go. No, all right, you go first, Sammy. What do you got?
Ever since you've put that Becky Lynch idea inside of my head, if she comes back and she lays Tiffany out, whatever happens in that, or she comes back on Raw, whatever happens, I would love to see her come back at the end of that. You've completely changed my mind now.
Mm-hmm.
Purely for the fact that I think Seth will win. I know there's not much of an age gap between everyone, but it's a comment that I made to you both in the back channels. But just with everything that's happened with Roman Reigns, obviously, his overuse with Brock Lesnar, the title unification, his extensive matches, the past 2 WrestleManias with Cody, losing the belt, coming back, losing everything to Solo, losing everything to The Rock. He's on the ground. He has nothing. He's fighting for himself. He's fighting for his dignity in this match against his blood brother, basically. As much as they're not related, they are. They've shared some incredible moments on and off the mat together. For me, okay, I know CM Punk's in the back corner. Everyone would love to see him get a title shot eventually. He's finally got his chance to main event a WrestleMania in his career. But for me, I see Seth rolling it, getting it in there, getting it done. But I'm Team Seth all the way.
Ads?
Yeah, I mean, like I didn't genuinely know, and I didn't really care. I just wanted it to be a really, really good contest with, of course, a little bit of controversy in the end somewhere. But the more that, as we were sort of talking off air as well before recording, and then like the more I sort of thought about it, especially after the end of, I think it was Raw as well too, when he didn't do the stomp, and then Paul Heyman owes Seth Rollins a favor now. You just kind of feel that it's almost the unexpected, because like you would think that Roman Reigns would probably just be like maybe too good, too strong, or CM Punk through the wise man, or Paul Heyman's influence might get the way. But Seth Rollins seems the more unlikely of the three of them to get the victory. But I think that's why I think it would be good, and it would be just create so much, I guess, stir, and you're thinking what's going to happen after that. And I think, Berto, you probably touched on a little bit about with maybe Paul Heyman, and is he going to go the way that maybe no one expects come the end of the contest?
I'm wondering something.
Oh, God, don't tell me you think this is going to go into a 4-way and you're going to bring Brock back. I swear to God, if you... Oh,
not a 4-way, but I do reckon the Beast Incarnate comes out. I reckon. Now, what I don't know is that why Seth, is that the favour Seth wants off Paul? Make a phone call, get the Beast in, or does CM Punk really want Paul in his corner? Because what the hell is Paul going to offer CM Punk? Paul can't freaking wrestle. And it's not like Paul has got time in the lead up to WrestleMania to make moves and deals behind the scenes and whatever else, short of a phone call. And then you've got the Paul Heyman guys. Because if you think about it, Paul Heyman is a Roman Reigns guy. I'm stealing this straight from, I think, Sam, not Sam Wrestling, but honestly, I really think he's on the money here. Paul Heyman is a Roman Reigns guy, whereas CM Punk and Brock Lesnar are Paul Heyman guys. And they've been talking about whether Brock's coming back for a while there. And there's obviously the controversy that's going on outside of the WWE and what's going on with McMahon and all that sort of jazz. And we're not going to open all that up because it's a legal battle and I don't know enough about it other than to say that I disagree with a whole lot of it. I think it's nasty what he's been up to. And I don't care whether only 5% of it's true. Yuck.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as if that's all clear and Brock's okay and all that sort of jazz and he's cleared of it all, if he can make a WrestleMania appearance, this could be how you do it. Because I can't see any other way you'd bring Brock back that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not going to happen on night 2. There's no room for it, especially with everything that we're going to cover eventually on a night 2 card. It's the perfect match for it. I would hate for it to happen. I know it's probably going to happen. Ads.
Yeah, it's funny. I like that. There's certainly a lot of sense that sort of feeds in there for sure. But like we sort of overlapped a little bit with night 2, and like I don't want to skip ahead too much. So actually, I'll probably save that until we get to the main event for night 2 because I've got a theory as well. Which may or may not involve the individual we've just been speaking about then, and also mindful of time as well, gentlemen. So I think you've summed it up perfectly. So let's maybe skip ahead to the night 2 matches and maybe like roll through the maybe more important ones, the less chicken creating worthy ones.
Fair enough. Well, we'll just jump through real quick for the start. AJ Styles, Logan Paul. Honestly, couldn't care myself. I reckon the only thing that could be a surprise here is Logan Paul calls out his brother, who can actually fight. So, but I don't know. I see this maybe going to AJ Styles, boys.
Yep, AJ for me.
Yep.
That's a big fat chicken jockey from me to AJ Styles. So.
Chicken jockey! Right. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Really looking forward to this. Love Priest. Love McIntyre. I want to see Damo get it just because I am probably more of a Priest fan than a McIntyre fan, but I wouldn't be disappointed either way. Boys?
Yeah, I think this match is going to be brutal, man. It's going to be the classic JR slobber knocker kind of contest. So, nice. I think, yeah, it's just going to be, really, really hard. There surely will have to be blood somewhere. But I think not really too fast who comes out with the win. I think Priest will probably have enough, and hopefully he can go on some kind of, number one contender run. Because, I think that what he did across the last 12 to 18 months in the WWE, especially on Raw, when he had that world title, was pretty impressive.
Yep. Sammy?
Agreed. Enough said. Damian Priest. I've always been a Priest fan. Drew
Yeah.
McIntyre, hate him. Done.
Oh, come on. You can't hate the man. Right. The Intercontinental Championship. Fatal 4-way. Bron Breakker, Dominic Mysterio, Penta, Finn Balor. For my money, the dogs are still barking. Ho, ho, Breaker. Boys.
Sammy, over to you, man. You go first for this one.
As I said, I reckon Dom will probably more than likely come out in a tiger mask, pay homage to Guerrero. It'll just piss Penta off. It'll piss everyone else off. Penta, as much as I love him, I love what he's done so far. Him completely, Dominic couldn't even land a hit on him. Like, he just shook off the hits that he was getting dealt with. Finn, would love to see Finn come back as the demon in this match if that's the way that they're going to go down. But yeah, I don't see Bron Breakker losing this one, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm the same as well. I think he's still got a couple more months in him, or going to maybe SummerSlam, and then there's a worthy contender to take the title off him. I think there'll be numerous moments where it looks like one of them is going to take it from him, but eventually something will happen. Two people will take each other out, or all three of them will take each other out, and Bron will just slide into the ring and do the cover they need to, or it will just be a gigantic spear from somewhere. He'll do like 10 laps of the ring and then just like cut a guy in half or whatever. But I think Bron will hold the title for now.
And I think, irrespective of the outcome, I think this will spell the demise of Judgment Day, in my opinion.
Thank God.
Thank God.
I think the time's over for them. Which then leads us into the Women's Tag Team Championship. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Look, part of me sort of sits there and thinks Liv and Raquel will retain to hold the power in the demise of Judgment Day, because you've got Finn puffing his chest up every 5 minutes. Look at me, I'm all that is Judgment Day, and he can't put a belt around his waist. But in the same breath too, I kind of don't want him to retain, because I'd like for all of them to lose all the gold, everything, and a whole lot of it just falls apart. And Liv and Daddy Dom can go over here and, tell it to someone else crying, and we can actually relieve ourselves of this Judgment Day storyline that has been just dragging on for far too long. Who wants to go?
Yeah. I'll let Ads go first, because I got a bit to cover on for the next match that'll tie into it nicely.
Fair enough. I know it was sort of like a slap bang kind of match that was just brought out of nowhere, and like I'm disappointed for Lyra that she doesn't get like a one-on-one match for the Intercontinental Women's title, and the same for the United States Women's title. Well, why isn't that on the card? But then you've got Rey Mysterio and Chad Gable, basically. Yeah, correct. I don't know why. Because they were so big on bringing the Intercontinental and US women's titles in, and then you've got the biggest card and the biggest event, and you're not giving them something, but then you somehow manage to fit the women's tag team championships. I think it's a bit disrespectful to those two individuals. So yeah, for what it's worth, I think that probably I'll go with your theory, Berto. I think that Liv, that they will retain, and then they will have the sole power in Judgment Day, and then we'll see how that unfolds there. Sammy, keen to hear your theories on how the end of this match might tie in with something else too.
Yeah, I'm going to take the opposite stance to the both of you, because someone has to do it, and of course it's going to be me, so thank you both. But yeah, after that gauntlet match, I'm sorry, but Bayley and Lyra are pulling it out. Liv Morgan and Raquel will have nothing to show for it. Finn will have nothing to show. Dom will have nothing to show.
Yeah.
No one will have anything to show for anything at the end of this match. Bayley and Lyra will walk out of it, and to tie in nicely to the next match, it'll feed in nicely with it, and I've got Rhea Ripley taking all the glory.
Ray. Where'd you come up with Ray?
It's because it looks like Ray on my bloody run sheet from here.
Oh.
It looks like Ray. But Rhea Ripley, she's taking it all in the Women's World Championship. She'll go and rub it all in Liv's face. Dom will start trying to crawl back, and then he'll be on his own spiral path.
He'll be all
He'll
like,
have his own-
baby, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
He'll have his own little spiraling path, and battling between the Guerrero or the Mysterio, and yeah, I can see it being a whole pipeline thing. But yeah, I say Miss Ripley is winning this one. Berto, I'll hand over to you for this one, mate.
Oh, it's Rhea. It's Rhea, baby.
Yeah.
Honestly, Rhea is just, Look, I like Io. I think what she's doing is fantastic, but in all honesty, I don't see her as carrying the women's division. She's fantastic for some absolute apeshit stunts, and I still think back to War Games when she put the tin can over her head and did that massive friggin', I don't know what move was that, was a moonsault or something, whatever it was just like, how do you do that? And that wasn't a gimmicked trash can. She honestly couldn't see where she was going, and just to have the balls to do that, absolutely nuts. But I don't see her having the same ability to carry the company as the women's champ as Rhea does. Rhea is just over with everyone. And, look, she's Aussie. We've got to go for the Aussie. I mean, at the end of the day, the only other Aussie I'd be going for is if somewhere along the lines Bronson Reed showed up. And, yeah, he can tsunami smash everyone as far as I'm concerned. Ads, who you got for the triple threat?
Well, I'm clearly going against the grain here, and it has absolutely nothing to do with Rhea. Love Rhea, obviously Australian in general too, myself. So I love her for that fact too. But I don't reckon Io's getting enough credit here, and I feel like she's going under the radar slightly. And like, there's a lot of love and a lot of airtime for Rhea. Fair enough, like trying to get her title back, and Bianca, the Royal Rumble winner. So I think Io's actually going to get it done. I think she'll retain. And, I absolutely understand where you're coming from. That is she strong enough to hold this division together? And, and if Rhea doesn't win, what is next for her? And maybe that's just a fascinating question in itself. So where and what does happen for Rhea, like from there, if it's not a champion? Does she have a confidence crisis? Something we haven't seen for Rhea in a while, and then she has to go on a bit of a journey of self-discovery. Obviously a little bit too deep for what we're talking about here, but for what it's worth, I think Io will actually retain. So yeah, interesting to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, look, there's one part of the storyline that has been quite interesting to watch, but makes me think that they could be leaning towards Io, and I'll just call it out here so it's on record. It's the fact that for the last couple of, Raws, the whole just pushing Io aside like she's just a little toy, out of the way. And that in itself, like you saw at the end of, last week's Raw, where she just did that massive double leg kick into the two of them off the ropes. I think there's a bit of mongrel in her at the moment that's about to come out one way or another. So you might be onto something, Ads, but... All right, we've saved the best till last, and this is where I think all the storylines, all the speculation, all the everything's coming out. Now, I've already given up my winner. I think it's going to Cena, just because I think it could set up, he gets his 17th. I see a world where Randy competes against Cena somewhere down the track to get his, 15th, and then pulls that title back. Cena then maybe can turn babyface or whatever, or just go off into the, sunset. And do whatever, make another Ricky Snadicki movie or whatever goes on. Maybe the Marine, I don't know. But I reckon this is going to, I think like WrestleMania 40, we're not going to necessarily see like, what are they calling it? The Avengers Assemble sort of moment. But I think we're going to have some help. And I'm going to call out that I reckon that helping Cena will be the final boss. And I reckon we're going to see it finally. The final boss is going to come out, throw his weight around. Then we're going to hit a glass break and I'm going to lose my bloody shit. And down there, just wobbling his head, giving everyone everything, the baddest SOB there is, coming down. The rattlesnake Stone Cold Steve Austin will have to come out and put the boss in his place, as has been the case many times before. Now, it was all well and good that it was Undertaker who stole the limelight last year. That was fantastic. But we know Stone Cold is in Vegas. We know he's going into the Hall of Fame for a moment with Bret Hart. We know he's going to be floating around. And we also know that The Rock and Stone Cold have had some of the finest matches of past. And could pretty much, if you think about it, cap that whole era off, because yes, Cena was kind of the next gen after the Stone Cold and Rock era, but last year gave me a vibe of the different eras coming together to help get Cody over the line. This could almost be where you start to cap off the final generations, and what better way to do it than just, it doesn't mean that Cena can't win, but just to clear the Rock out of the friggin' ring, Stone Cold has to do it to help support Cody. I've given up all my storyline there. All I care about at this point is Stone Cold. But anyway, I know Sammy's got a lot to say on this. So I'm going to make him wait because he's been a little shit the whole podcast. Ads, would you like to give me your opinion?
A really compelling case, like it genuinely is, and Stone Cold certainly makes a ton of sense, because we know that the final boss will come out in some form or fashion at a time during the match. Well, I sort of alluded to it a little bit earlier, and Cody sort of touched on his name a couple of weeks ago, and we know that and it doesn't happen very often for many wrestlers, but there was mutual respect between one Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes all those months ago, although it probably was 12 months now anyway. And yeah, there's of course all the stuff that Brock needs to sort out outside of WWE, and maybe it's not possible. But I think that Brock could be the equalizer for Cody to try to take out the final boss. In the end, I still think what's best for business is for Cena to win. He has to win this championship because it just pushes different storylines on in different directions. You can't have the fairy tale 2 years in a row. You've got to have the heel has to win. So that's how I think it'll happen. Whether it's Lesnar or someone else, Stone Cold would be brilliant. I would absolutely love that. It was just sort of a left of center kind of theory. So, Sammy, you're on the clock, but or also you can talk for the next half hour about your 13 theories about what's going to happen in the match. But very keen and excited.
All right, strap yourselves in, lads. I'm going to try and speak as fast as I can without speaking as fast as possible.
I'm just going to get some shut-eye while we go.
Right. This is where we have to like speed it up into 2 times speed. But honestly, the match to end the collision of eras, as we have said, Cody, current undisputed champion, setting to defend his title against Cena, not only going for a 17th, but it's his last WrestleMania appearance before he retires. Obviously, you know, he can potentially defend at SummerSlam, Elimination Chamber, whatever else, but he won't be back for WrestleMania next year. This is his last one. That's it. My thing is, yes, Rock's in his corner. We'll more than likely see The Rock. More than likely, potentially going to see the man himself, the Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold. We'll all be losing our absolute shit on the socials. Everyone will be going crazy for it. My then thing on top of that, someone that helped Cody get the title, and that was Seth. Paul Heyman owes Seth a favor. Now we know the history between Cena and Rhodes, both with Paul Heyman himself having history with both of them. Could we potentially see an involvement there from Heyman? And as you have both said, has he made that call? And has that call come for the Beast to take his place on the throne, take it back off both of them, and the person who can carry this has better mic skills than anyone that I have seen growing up on this microphone, to just come in and absolutely to take it all? And obviously there's a whole lot at stake for both, you know, for Cena and for Rhodes themselves. But yeah, there's heaps of ways that it could go down. So
you're pretty hung up on the favor that Heyman owes Seth. Do you think Heyman actually gives a shit about Seth's so-called favor just because he didn't stomp him. I mean, at the end of the day, that's almost like me walking up and going, when you're in school and you'd sit there and, tell your mum I saved your life type situation. I mean, it's bullshit.
I agree as well. But then I think like Heyman sold it. Heyman sold it so well at the end of that episode because Heyman just came across that, oh no, there's one more person that I have to owe. You're right. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, Heyman owes Seth Rollins.
Oh no, I think I've just soiled my pants.
Oh, yeah. Oh. It also could be that too. And like, maybe that's the stinky part of this situation, I guess.
Well played. Well played.
I just want to spit off just a small little list before we wrap things up and everything. Yeah. Obviously, The Rock, yes. Potentially for a Randy Orton. I'm not too sure whether or not that will come in there. An RKO to Cena for old time's sake, potentially setting up their rival.
Yes.
Whatever. Triple H potentially at the start of the match, introducing it in a power suit for sure. In the ring, probably not. Vince, possibility is absolutely low. It's not impossible. If they want to go absolutely nuclear, he could come out. I
don't think legally he can at the moment.
Nah, I don't think legally, he can. Yeah,
legally, probably not. Especially if Brock will be there. That's a whole can of whoop-ass in itself. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to go into, and I would just, I'm going to leave it there because we've got to wrap it up. So
I want to throw two thoughts to you. The first is Cena wins. Do we see the spinner title back?
Well, considering the new one that they released the other day, it's not the one that John won, and it's not the one that he had. It was completely new and bedazzled. Potentially.
Yep.
Not really. Wouldn't give a shit if they do, if they don't.
Yeah. And the second thought, Cena came out in one of his promos and said, I'm going to ruin wrestling. I'm winning WrestleMania and I'm retiring with the championship. Now, yes, we know he has come out and said he has got X amount of dates throughout the whole of 2025. But if you've turned ultimate heel, you take the belt and you're done.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because like he could pull the CM Punk and do it and like ironically enough that was against John Cena, I'm pretty sure too. So it would be quite curious if that did happen. And I don't want to repeat your words, but that would be just mind blowing if he especially if he left through the arena too, won the title, left through the arena and waved bye-bye. And then that Raw the following night is just what on earth has just happened. Like it sets up and gives everyone so many questions.
He's on Raw, isn't it?
That's the thing. He might have he's meant to have dates for it the whole year, but he retires, he's gone. Now you've lost the belt. What did they bring back earlier on in the year and made a big to-do out of it, and everyone's like, why? And what is Triple H kind of, think about the Intercontinental belt and some of the tag belts and how they've gone back to looks of old.
They bring out the wing belt.
They bring out the wing belt. That becomes the new heavyweight champion or the undisputed heavyweight championship belt, whatever you call the damn thing, and turn around and now you have some kind of build-up where Cody's involved potentially and RKO, Randy's involved, and now you get the opportunity for Randy to now take the belt. Admittedly, you don't get Cena and Randy, but you still get to give Cena his 17th, Randy his 15th, and Cena actually did spoil wrestling. We just didn't take him for real.
Or does he go away for a short period of time and then he comes back at the next main event when they are doing a number one contenders match for the new title, and then he just comes in and just uses his belt and a chair to smash everyone. And of course, that's their theories for another podcast. But
absolutely.
Just really interesting.
Which what we've given you there is a little bit of a taste of what's to come in future episodes when we introduce a segment called The Shoot, which will be our no-holds-barred opinions of what's going on in WWE with absolutely no facts, probably complete fiction, from three absolute morons who love wrestling, but we'll sit there and give you our opinions, no holds barred, in The Shoot in upcoming episodes. Now we get to the tail end of the show, and it has been a long one, and we thank you very much for staying tuned in for the whole episode, and we hope you enjoyed the first episode of this podcast. This is now our outro. Let's go home. Keep an eye out for any socials. What we're going to be doing is releasing this up on, YouTube. It'll go on Spotify. It'll probably end up on your Apple Podcasts, and then through that, it'll probably end up everywhere there's podcasts. And if there's somewhere you you can't find the podcast and you want it, reach out to one of us. We'll obviously release links on our own personal socials, and over time we will set up Cut the Promo social media around the place where you can get updates. But most importantly, please, if there's anything you'd like to hear on here, reach out to us, add comments, share and share alike. We're doing this for the love of the game. There is absolutely no money behind any of this. This is just three fans of WWE, and we may talk a bit of TNA. We may even throw a bit of AEW in there to get together and just shoot the breeze about something that we really love, which is our wrestling. Boys, thank you very much for joining me on this first episode. It's been great to have the three of us together, even though we've all been doing our own individual pods as part of the Basketball Fix. And if you like listening to our dulcet tones, please check out our individual pods and keep an eye on what we're doing with the Basketball Fix through the off-season into the NBL 25-26 season. Sammy, Ads, thank you very much.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate it.
Nah, thanks so much. And just if you haven't already, please hit up Bat Banter if you like your AFL. Hit us up on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, and podcasts coming out on a weekly basis. So my little shameless self-plug right there in the last couple of seconds.
Absolutely.
He won't do it for himself, but I'll shout him out. If you haven't already, go and listen to the Voice of Chaos. The man, CB himself, he's an absolute legend. You want to listen to some old heavy metal, heavy rock, all the rest of it, go and give him a listen. He's on the island of Tassie at the moment, so he's feeling a little bit left out. Go and show him some love, guys.
Cheers, brother. All right. Well, we've got to try and come up with a bit of a catchphrase, so I don't know. Boys, let's keep it kayfabe.
Yeah.